unwearable presentation.
I was thinking of a different outfit. Hi, I'm Carly Nash, and I want to welcome everyone for coming today. I especially want to greet our special guest and client from Grady County. We have Meisha Lind and Kevin Cawley. Also, I want to welcome some special people from Archway. We have person A and person B coming here, and we're so grateful that you guys were able to come and hear our presentation. And right here from Grady College, we have our very own Dean Clark. And I just want to thank you guys all for taking time to come see our presentation today. I've had the great privilege of serving as team leader for my public relations campaigns course this semester. We have been tasked to put our education into use with a real client, and we are excited to share with you our public information campaign for Tired Creek Lake. I want to begin by showing this quote. Tired Creek Lake is going to serve as a recreational fishing lake, and to us, we weren't quite sure, being 23 girls, what that might mean. But this quote helped guide our campaign and helped us better understand that fishing is more of a social event and not so much even a hobby or a sport. And so with that, we were able to start working on the public information campaign for Tired Creek Lake.
I'm Amy Dodge, and from the beginning of the campaign, we decided to investigate a lot about the history behind the lake, and we created this timeline to visually represent the history of the lake. And it began in 1935 when the lake was proposed as a Works Progress Administration project, and the ownership of the lake passed between different owners over the years. But in 1982, the state returned the land and ownership of the lake to Grady County. And most recently, some serious steps have been made towards creating the lake. And in 2010, the final signatures were obtained for the 404 application for the lake, and it was approved on June 1st, 2010. And most recently, a federal judge struck down a legal challenge against Grady County in 2012, and as of now, the dam construction is set to begin this summer.
I'm Savannah Highsmith, and we were initially drawn into this campaign through the Archway Partnership, which is a public service unit of UGA that basically works to connect university resources with different counties throughout the state. And so in 2011, Archway selected Grady County to become its 9th Archway community. And one of the things that Grady County wanted help addressing was the considerable confusion amongst Grady County residents about the future construction of Tired Creek Lake. And that's where we came in. And we were tasked with creating a public information campaign to dispel all of the misconceptions about Tired Creek Lake. We decided to do this using a traditional PR method called the RPI model. And this consists of 4 steps: research, planning, implementation, and evaluation.
I'm Hannah Springston, and before we could implement our plan, we had to create a vision. So we devised one goal for the campaign, which was to educate Grady County residents about Tired Creek Lake. And underneath that one goal, we had 5 objectives, I'm sorry, to increase knowledge of the uses, purpose, and timeline of the lake by 5% by April 2012, and also to allow and create for more open and honest communication between community leaders and community members.
So the Tired Creek Lake Communications team conducted extensive primary research using quantitative and qualitative research methods with high validity and reliability.
Thank you, Amy. My name is Nicole McClellan. I serve as the research team leader. And pre-campaign research included content analysis of articles written before the campaign, community opinion interviews, focus groups, and surveys. And now Sarah will go into the content analysis we conducted.
Hi, my name is Sarah McDaniel, and the first step we did with our research was we conducted a comprehensive content analysis where we did a systematic search of UGA databases and internet archives for all articles that were published about Tired Creek Lake from January 2004 to January 2012. Overall, we collected 72 articles most of which were just content neutral articles, really giving the history of the Tiger Creek Lake project and all the challenges it had faced through getting a permit. So we really used this information that we collected to inform our other parts of research, including our one-on-one interviews, focus groups, and our survey.
Yes, the next step was conducting one-on-one interviews. They were conducted using the face-to-face method of qualitative research. The interviews were conducted informally, and participants were randomly selected. Specifically, 2 farmers, a county official, and an additional citizen of Grady County were interviewed. The interviews revealed that perceptions between these groups were very similar, but the interviews revealed that perceptions within these groups were very similar, but perceptions between the groups varied dramatically. The interviews also revealed 3 main things: funding, lack of transparency of the project, and several misconceptions.
I'm Alden Gesh. As part of our research strategy, we conducted sort of impromptu, informal focus groups at some of the popular breakfast spots in Grady County on Saturday morning. And these included Hardee's, the Pickle Patch, and 3 Squares Diner. And the focus groups lasted about 10 to 20 minutes apiece. And most of our participants were mature adult males, who we consider to be community leaders in their homes, their churches, maybe their places of employment. And one of the things we got out of doing the focus groups was we learned a lot of the misconceptions that residents had about the lake, and luckily we had time to dispel some of those misconceptions. And because our participants were people who we consider to be community leaders, we hope that they'll be able to sort of disseminate that correct information throughout the community.
I'm Caroline Edwards, and we use SPSS, which is a statistical analysis software. And basically what it did is it took our survey data and it turned it into viable statistics that we could use. As you can see through these numbers, these are out of 20. So they're relatively low, kind of neutral, but borderline low. And so we found that our job was to increase these numbers.
I'm Amanda Porter, and after this pre-campaign initial research, we realized that how Grady County residents felt about the project. And before we would actually start producing our campaign, we realized with so many misconceptions, the best way to dispel these misconceptions was going to be with solid facts. So the client provided us with hundreds of pages of documents that we were going to research and sift through in order to pick out the most important information. This included looking through the master plan for Tiger Creek Lake. This had fine details like the topography of the lake, restrictions, things that would be allowed, as well as alternative analyses, which had like the economic development, environmental impact, as well as angler supply and demand in the area. We also looked through a public forum survey from 2007, which gave us an idea of questions and answers that had already been brought up amongst the residents. And lastly, we spoke to some University of Georgia experts to include Professors Rasmussen and Dr. Shelton, both professors of hydrology and fisheries management respectively. So from all of this research and information, we were able to pick out solid facts and draw the most important information that later we would use to define our key messaging.
I'm Rachel McDaniel, and before we could start our messaging, we had to define who our target audiences were going to be for this campaign. So based on our research, we determined that we were going to focus on Grady County residents and influential leaders in the community.
Then we determined our secondary audiences were Grady County business owners, youth aged 14 to 18, and anglers. All of these audiences were very important to the overall success of our campaign, and we wanted to make sure we kept them in mind in forming our messaging.
I'm Kristen Cameron, and I'll be talking about the planning portion. Initial research showed that we needed a family-oriented country-themed logo. We submitted the top 2 logos to our client, which their feedback suggested that they wanted a more sophisticated logo. We then submitted the final 2 logos to our client, who indicated that they would like the bottom logo showing a ripple effect that is the cornerstone of our campaign.
Brandon, then moves forward, and Kate will be explaining that next.
My name is Kate Haygood. Going off what Kristen was saying, Tire Creek Lake logo is like the saying, the picture is worth 1,000 words. We created the logo to be easily remembered and identifiable so that it was easier to see than 1,000 words describing Tire Creek Lake. But a brand is more than just a logo. The brand unleashes the distinct voice and fun personality of Tire Creek Lake and acts as a tool to identify what Tire Creek Lake is and the amazing benefits that it will provide. The key to branding is to create identity and loyalty to the brand. We are tasked with developing relationships that could be sustained and excite people through the entire construction period of Tire Creek Lake. Every item we produced had a professional look and feel, yet fun, so that people would identify Tire Creek Lake brand. Flyers, fact sheets, plastic cups, and other items were designed in order to spread the ripples of Tire Creek Lake through the community.
After all of our initial research, it was finally time to create the overall messages that would ultimately guide our campaign. And our first step with this was drafting the overall key messaging document. This was one master document that completely covered the ins and outs of Tire Creek Lake and exactly how we wanted to communicate those details to residents. And this document in its condensed form eventually became our fact sheet, which was an extremely important tool for us throughout our campaign. We use this fact sheet internally to keep us all on the same page throughout the campaign, and as an external publicity tool by handing it out all throughout Cairo and making sure it was being handed out at all of our events. And our goal with this document was to create a ripple effect of accurate communication and information through the community.
I'm Whitney Wilson, and another document we created was the Q&A document. This was a categorized list of questions and answers that we used internally in order to prepare ourselves to answer the questions that we may receive in Grady County.
I'm Natalie Finling, and after we were able to create our brand for Tire Creek Lake, we wanted to implement all of our publicity for the Tire Creek Lake fish fry. After what we found out about Grady being such a tight-knit community, we really wanted to inject ourselves into this community and meet people where they are. We also wanted to make the information very accessible to anybody who wanted to know more about the fish fry. So we targeted 11 online community calendars in Cairo, Thomasville, and Tallahassee, and we also attended 3 local organization meetings and were able to tell them a little bit more about the project and our fish fry event.
Yeah, I'm Larkner Watley, and continuing on with what Natalie was talking about, we really did want to go with the grassroots approach and really, meet people around town where they go on a day-to-day basis. So we made an effort to go to places like the Pickle Patch and local nail salons and places like that, and dropped off flyers and fact sheets, and wanted to go by the high school to make sure we spread awareness to that demographic, since they'll be huge users of the lake in just 5 short years. And so we went and talked to them about the purposes, use, timeline, restrictions, and had Michael Best, the voice of makers, make announcements at the baseball games.
And overall, we were able to generate over 1.5 million impressions for the Tire Creek Lake fish fry event.
I'm Amy Johnson. During this campaign, we hosted 3 events to specifically reach our target audiences. The first 2 events were informational meals, to which we invited influential members of the community and business leaders. Our closing event was a fish fry. It was open to all Grady County residents, and each event served to better educate Grady County residents concerning the purpose, uses, and timeline of the lake. Alexa will tell you a little bit more about the meals.
I'm Alexa Miller, and on February 23rd, 4 of our team members traveled to Grady County to put on 2 informational meals for the influential community and business leaders of Grady County. Both of the meals were hosted in the boardroom of the Grady County Chamber of Commerce, and as you can see from these pictures, we had a great turnout. Between both meals, there were a total of 16 guests, including several commissioners, religious leaders, and even the mayor. At each meal, we were able to talk with the guests as they ate, and then afterwards, we gave a brief presentation about the Tire Creek Lake project and were able to answer questions about the funding and restrictions on the lake. Both meals were well received. Later that afternoon, we gave a campaign update and awareness presentation to the Archway Council. The members of the board were clearly impressed with the work we've done thus far